Welcome to Top Advisor Marketing, where you will learn how to become a prolific online influencer, attract more ideal clients, and grow your practice. Brought to you by Top Advisor Podcasting, a done-for-you podcasting solution built just for trusted advisors. And now, your co-hosts of Top Advisor Marketing, Kirk Lowe and Matt Halloran.
Hello and welcome to another Top Advisor Marketing Podcast. You know, when Kirk and I first started the Top Advisor Marketing Podcast, it was just Kirk and I, and we just realized that we really miss just hanging out and talking to each other and waxing philosophical about the things that we're passionate about. So Kirk is back on today, and we're going to talk about something we seem to talk about a lot with our clients, which is niching is marketing. And you know, we've got some good stories that we're going to tell you, but this is like a top 10 list of a rational niche rationalization. So the reason why we hear from you all the time, why you don't think you should niche. So Kirk, man, welcome back to your home, dude.
Yeah, well, I know every podcast intro we have says I'm there, and it's signifying I'm there in spirit.
You're always here in spirit, brother.
You are so busy interviewing everybody. Anyway, it's good that we're back doing this, and we've pledged to each other that we're going to do more of these more often. And our marketing people tell us that some of ours do really well as far as the overall Top Advisor Marketing Podcast. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but
well, it's true. I mean, when you and I are on the mic together, we're dropping great info and people want to share it. Yeah. But this one right here. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to tell everybody that this drives me unbelievably insane, that we hear these ridiculous objections when they go to conferences, Kirk, and there's some woman standing on stage who focuses in the anesthesiologist market, and she's in the top 10 of the BD, and everybody's like, I don't understand how she does it. Why do advisors think...
She must know somebody in there, and she's
right.
getting it.
Is that on our list?
No.
Oh, maybe that should be 11. That's 11. All right. Well, okay. So let's talk about this. Why do you think, and what do we hear advisors say on why coming with a niche is such a bad thing?
It's funny because I don't know that there's always an argument. It's just more of a non-conversation, or we're in the process of going through and developing their brand, and they keep fighting us on being different. That's where I see I see a lot there. And then I see a lot in people who call inquiring about working with us. So it's all over the place. But, the first one that I hear, and this one does get voiced in the process a lot, is I don't want to turn off or alienate my clients who don't fit this niche that we're talking about. And I mean, you do. Yes, you do. You absolutely want, you don't necessarily want to turn them off, but you want them to know who you prefer to work with. And if it's not them and they leave, well, didn't you already say that you didn't, they weren't part of who you wanted to work with? So I don't understand why the objection to it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this applies to the next one we're going to talk about as well, is that when you work with more people than fewer, as far as niches go, you can't create more value for them. It's very difficult.
Right.
So if you're serving, can you be everything to everybody? No. Can you be something special to a whole bunch? You can't. You just can't do it. You can just be average, if that, on most days. Mm-hmm. And for some advisors, that's fine. And you can make a decent living doing that. Maybe you can even make a good living because you got some other things going on for you. And I'd say, that's been a more likely to have happened in the past than it will be in the future. I think the future is changing. I think advisors absolutely need to identify why they're different and better. They have to add value from a planning perspective with the cost of, managed money going down all the time. So that's a big one.
I was just on a sales call. I emailed you about this today. So I was just on a sales call, and this advisor wants to niche. He wants to really focus really hard. And he said, Matt, I'm struggling right now because I can do one of two things. I can start, and I think he said carve out. I can carve out what I want to keep in my book and kind of shed the rest, or I can go ahead and grow exponentially, hire a couple of advisors to take those ones that I want to shed. But his ultimate goal is to really be known for being this, right? And for him, it was a very comprehensive, lifelong, holistic financial planner. And the way he defined it was brilliant, by the way. And he's going to become a branding client of ours very soon because he doesn't know how to communicate that. And I know that you're going to be able to help him a whole bunch. But turning off other clients, I'm like, really? A lot of you have already segmented your client base, right? Everybody always tells you you're not supposed to have the D clients anyway, or even some of the C clients.
Yeah, but people always segment by assets under administration or revenue or profitability, whatever it happens to be. There are definitely more things to segment by these days. Having a more fulfilled practice, feeling like you're actually making a difference for people, going after people who you feel like you have a vertical you can go after or a connection with. Mm-hmm. Those are good opportunities. Yeah. So there's things like that.
Right before I shut down the Top Advisor coaching, when we merged, I had created something called advanced client segmentation, which I'd actually shown you that. That was a long time ago, dude. But maybe that's something that with this, we need to tighten back up and have that be a free resource, because it does take you through how to really segment your clients to find out what your niche could be and who you really want to work with.
I wish we were so big that we could say, hey, listeners, send us an email and tell us if you want us to do that.
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
We got to get that big.
Yeah, we're working on it. All right, what's the third one? Because this is another one that I think is funny and wrong.
Why not give your email address and just tell everybody that? Maybe we are that big. We just don't know.
Well, you know what? You probably don't know this, but I have been giving out my email address more because, if people want, know other people who'd be really good guests, or if they want to know more about what we do at Top Advisor. But yeah, I'll do it right now. 6 minutes into the podcast, guys. If you want to have this, if you want to talk to us more about who we are and what we do, or if you know somebody who'd be a great guest on the podcast, it's Matt at topadvisorm, as in Mike.com, Matt at topadvisorm.com. Man, flood my email inbox. I'm not going to say I'm going to love that, but I'll be happy about it because that means, we're getting some really good feedback.
Yeah. So the second point here is that, the top 10 irrational niche rationalizations. Mm-hmm. I know that I have come up with some really awful titles before, like as far as pronouncing them. And this is at the top of the list.
This is a tongue twister.
It's the worst. It's the worst or the best. It's the best for me because you're going to have to say it more often than I, hopefully. So anyway, number 2 is that, I don't want to be known for just X.
Yeah.
So, this kind of builds off of, I don't want to have other companies, but you do want to be known for just X. Mm-hmm. That's how those crazy people that you see at these conferences, they're up there talking about their niche, or they've done this. They've done really well because they've created so much value and with a focused audience. They know exactly how that audience ticks. They get so much practice at figuring that out. They know how to speak to them. They know how to create services, strategies. They know all those things. They know the kind of service that they want. They know where to find them. They know how to talk to them. They know how to get more referrals to them. People know how to refer you. You absolutely want to be known for just X. And the more specific X is, the better.
Yeah.
Right? So that's, you got to think about those things.
You have myths down here. What are some of the myths of don't want to be known just for X?
Well, the first one is that people will only ever expect you to do exactly what you say when you present yourself. So we're working with a client right now, just finishing off their brand, and they do executives with comp plans, right? Stock options and things like that. And they've done thousands of these types of clients. They worked with a larger firm before. Now they're on their own. They're independent, and they just know a lot more than most advisors know about the subject. So they're going after executives, and a certain type of executive with certain types of compensation plans. And it makes a big difference. But does it mean you can't manage their money? Because you're not just talking about their comp plan. You're talking about what to do with it and how to be better. So you can still do investment management, right? The other one is that if you only want to do plans for stock compensation and you don't want to manage their money, but you think they're going to expect you or ask you to do it, you can find somebody to do that. You can either find a service or you can find another advisor. Like, you can figure this stuff out. It might not be investment management you want to give up, but there are always ways to take care of people when you're known for X. Either you can do more, right? Mm-hmm. I've been putting myself out there for years as a branding guy, but we do websites. We consult on them anyway. And, I help people write white papers. So those things support a brand or help you, provide a hub to share your message. So there's other things you can do. We've done email nurture sequences. We help people build their LinkedIn connections. We do social media. We do podcasting. All these things help build a brand. But but we lead with branding. Now, I know we lead with more now, but because we have such a foothold in doing podcasting as a way to express your brand. But we work with, small RIAs and independent financial advisors. That's our biggest market. But having said that, we've got a lot of people who work with this industry who are calling us to do stuff as well, because our network of advisors is growing so big that people want to, I guess, piggyback off of what we're learning and how we're communicating with this audience. Yeah. So that's just a natural, but we don't even market that. They just find us. Yeah. So I think that ended up segueing into a good, good way to overcome one of those myths. Yeah, totally. Now, finding somebody to partner with, there are so many people you can ask those questions to, and I think that's a pretty kind of a wimpy myth. But this next top 10 irrational niche rationalization. Wow, you are a jerk, because that is really hard to say. Top 10 irrational niche rationalizations. That is, I'm going to get you for this, is the third one, though, which is they're so concerned about firing people. Now, I know you've dealt with this forever, right? That advisors will say, well, I can't fire this person or whatever. Let's talk about that. What is your experience with that? Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with moving on from people. And if you're doing it for all the right reasons, most people are going to be fine with it. And they know that if you're being honest with them, that you weren't going to be able to serve them, and they don't want you doing that. Like, they can only be thankful. It can only be a good thing. Imagine actually firing. I mean, that sounds harsh. Of course, it's not firing them, but saying, you're not a fit anymore and you don't think you can serve them. You might actually get, well, who do you serve? Oh, I know a couple people like that. Yeah. I mean, it's not what we do every day, but it seems like a pretty common sense reaction for somebody that you're trying to be thoughtful towards, right? And you've had a relationship with over the years with. Now, if you've offered horrible service and then they think you're just getting rid of them because they're small and annoying, you never talk to them, well, that's your problem. But I mean, it's more of your problem if you continue. Yeah. So I think at least you can save face with that, right? I'm not saying our listeners are doing that, but I think that's human nature for those things to happen in any business, right? So I think there's, I think you just got to get over it, and maybe some good will come of it. It'll feel good. You've been a coach for years. What does it feel like for people when they get rid of stuff that's holding them back? It's liberating. I mean, that's why I'm sitting here and nobody can see this, a huge smile on my face as I'm hearing you say that, is because it's liberating. It's empowering. It's one of the greatest feelings you can ever have as a business owner, when you truly feel like you're taking control of your business. The other thing that you can do, which is a great opportunity for growth, is you bring in a junior advisor and you have her work with those clients. And with a good coach or good communication company, there are great scripts and handoffs and sequences that you can use that are very structured and systematized
to help you make that handoff and make it so that the clients actually feel even more appreciated because you're doing it, again, for the right reason.
You know that show, Pardon the Interruption? It's a sports show called PTI.
Yeah.
And the two dudes just argue all the time, pretty much about everything. And they agree sometimes, but they're more likely to argue. Well, I'm going to argue with you there.
Really?
I actually don't like the idea of hiring juniors because I find it's just a distraction because you're going to have to manage them and you're managing people who aren't in your wheelhouse. And we did a podcast episode. I can't remember now because we have so many where we're at 160 now. Maybe back in the 40s or 50s where we talked about the perfect business model for advisors. And I believe having an ensemble where everybody's working towards the same common goal, exact same client is a little better. But it depends on where you're at in your business. Not everybody's ready to start an ensemble. And until you want to get there, maybe that's a good option. Or maybe you want to build somebody up. Actually, that's a really interesting idea, is use a junior, get them used to being an advisor, and then down the road, move them into your ensemble, part of your business. But after they've gotten their feet under them.
Yeah, but didn't you just contradict yourself?
You just changed. Yeah, you just changed my mind.
Yay! That doesn't happen very often. That's awesome. Actually, that does happen often. You know, that's one of the fun things about working with you is you challenge me on a regular basis to think about things differently. I've never had a business relationship like that before, but I'm telling you right now, I'm doing a little dance because that makes me really happy that
I don't really care about being wrong. It's a lot better to be wrong than to act like you're always right.
That's true. That's
sure.
True. Yeah. All right. What else do you have with this stuff here? So okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's the thing about the people that you aren't in your wheelhouse, right? Is that they're going to consume more of your time and effort. And they're likely going to be less profitable. It's the thing I said earlier. Points 1 and 2 is you create more value and be more focused. Well, if you're not offering a lot of value, are they going to demand you try to find value, and then you're building it just for them, or just for this person, that person, and the other? And all of a sudden you're building these value chains, if you will, and they're all one-offs. In any business, if you're writing proposals, for instance, and your proposal is different and unique every time for your business, that can be kind of cumbersome. Now, I know for a financial plan, you want them to be unique, custom tailored, all those lovely words that we hear every 5 minutes in the industry. But, you certainly want to, the more you can narrow your niche, the more value and the less waste you have otherwise. So that's a really important thing for, moving past people who end up being, not in your wheelhouse. And I'm calling them outliers, but they may actually not be the outliers. You may have a lot more of them. Like most advisors we talk to be honest, say that about 20 to 30%. I don't know if it's that 20-80 rule, but they're ideal, and the rest of them should go. And so if you're getting 80% of your business and profit and revenue from 20% of your clients, that's a good cut that off and build those people up. You'll double your practice in no time at all just by focusing.
And you're going to have a better quality
that wasn't
of life.
On here. Was that maybe that's I'll kill my profitability? Maybe that should have been one. Is that one down further? So maybe that's 12.
I wonder how many we're going to end up with. We started with 10. So,
well, I'm pausing right now so that you can get to number 5 and read the title. Oh, sorry, 4, because I'm not reading that title.
There's already a lot of advisors in that niche. Oh my God, I can't, man, I'm so tired of hearing this. This drives me. Can you give me an example? Give me an example of a niche that you've heard somebody say this.
Oh my. I mean, just don't even go there. There's so many people. I mean,
yeah.
Lots of our listeners are in the United States, and we do have a small global audience, but concentration in the U.S. I mean, it's ridiculous how many millionaires and how many wealthy people are there. There's no way you're bumping into everybody, and if you are, if you're better, then who cares?
Yeah. That was such a good statement. If you're better than them, who cares? It doesn't matter if it's a crowded marketplace if you're the best in the marketplace, right?
Yeah. There's no branding companies out there, I'll tell you that. We've got a marketplace that's just us.
Yeah.
We see podcasting companies popping up all the time.
We do. And wow, it's unbelievable what they're charging for how little they provide. I don't think they've realized that they haven't really got their pricing matrices down as well as they should.
Yeah. And some of them who are offering it cheaper don't do anything.
Yeah. My favorite is,
it's like anything. If it's something new, advisors will figure out who the champs are and all that kind of thing.
I just love throwing the compliance thing into the mix and seeing the other companies scramble when they have to deal with that. Okay. So I'm going to use a good example. I was just on the phone with somebody earlier today. They're in Lansing, Michigan, which is just north of me, and they work with medical residents. That is their whole practice. And there is an advisor across the street who's with a competing company who works with medical residents. And I was talking, I was like, well, why aren't you worried about, we always say the advisor down the street. And their lead advisor looked at me and said, we do such a better job for them than for these residents than they do. They just naturally move to us. Now, there are people, that's a viable business model for the advisor across the street. But I love the fact that if you truly do something unique and different, if you do something great, and if you don't know what that great is, I believe that that's when you need to call us to find out how we can find out what you do that's great and turn that into your brand. I was so excited having that branding sales call today, Kirk, because I got to brag about you a lot. I don't get to do that as much as I used to. And I was talking to him about your process. And all of these irrational niche rationalizations go away when you have a squarely solid brand, squarely solid process, a kick-ass white paper, right? All of those sorts of things that we help with, that changes and overcomes all of these niche irrational
the reasons that somebody's thinking about niching and because they've heard other people doing it and the pain and the things they want to move beyond, those are the things that that are getting solved by all the stuff that we're talking about, and it's going to come up here as we go through the list here. So I don't want to spoil that by getting ahead of ourselves, but
let's get to number 5 then. Yeah. So number 5 is, why would I want to tone down a 1,200 article library to 25? Oh, this is good. All right. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I've been beaten up websites and or service providers that offer these big libraries of articles that advisors can just plug into. And for a lot of years, these website providers told me that they didn't believe in it either. I'm being honest with you. They just knew that it's what advisors wanted. So when they were selling a website template as an example, and they said, well, we've got calculators and we've got a library of articles and a glossary of terms and a stock ticker, if we go back a couple more years. Those things were huge. Advisors that were like, you can do that for me at my own site, a stock ticker? Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Oh, you can embed my Facebook feed? Oh, that's wonderful. There were all these things that you could do that didn't make any impact on your marketing. And I would argue that in some cases they took away a lot. I mean, just imagine going to somebody and saying, well, if you don't have a niche, you're definitely driving the point home when you have 1,200 articles. It's like, these guys did they really know this much stuff? No, they didn't write 1,200 articles. They must have bought these. So how smart are they? I have no idea. Mm-hmm. I have no idea. And most people are sick and tired of people misrepresenting themselves in marketing.
Yeah.
If you haven't known that, if you don't know that, it's a big problem. It's been a big problem for financial advisors, right? Because when a financial advisor does something wrong, it's a national headline.
Yeah.
Well, depends on what company they're with, but anyway. Hey, there's lots of those settled behind closed doors with the big companies, but we won't get into that. They're not the people we work with.
Right. Hey, do you remember you and I interviewed a company? It was a while ago. And then he asked us a couple of very quick questions at the end of the podcast. And then he sent us magazines. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember how you and I, we talked about that a lot. So when you're talking about these humongous libraries, what this company does, and I'm going to ask you who it was in just a second, if you can remember. Yeah,
Reminder Media.
Reminder Media. I remember Luke, but I couldn't remember the name. So anybody, you got to look at the Reminder Media.
They got a nice podcast too.
Yeah, they are fantastic. And it talk about niche, talk about communicating in a very personal and warm manner. I still have that magazine, dude.
Yeah, they were really nice.
They nice.
They had really interesting content on them.
Yeah. But it's not 1,200 articles. It's okay. So your client loves this. Here are 5 articles, right? And I just absolutely love this. But let's keep moving, because the number 6, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't heard this as an objection or an irrational niche rationalization. Tell us what number 6 is, and I want you to explain this more, because I'm a little foggy on why anybody would think this at all.
I think, so niche marketing is more complicated. It's a thing. Like, people think that they're going to have to work harder to figure out where these people are. What do they really care about? Because everybody knows generally what people care about. But what do they specifically care about? You have to know your audience better. You have to get into their hearts and minds. Think about what are they worried about? Is it different? How is it different than everybody else? How can I prove that my expertise is what they need? So that scares people, because niche marketing requires somebody to take a deep look at what they do and who they're doing it for, and figure out the connection points, the connection points that really matter. And people get freaked out. And that's what we do all the time here with our, me specifically with my branding service, but branding process, I guess. But it's a thing, and people get really nervous about, well, how am I going to do that? I just finished recording a course about creating your own value proposition in your business. And we're going to make that available. I think we're making it available for free, and just stay tuned, because we'll do a launch through the podcast and through our email. So if you're not on our email list, how do people get on our email list?
All they have to do is go to the topadvisormarketing.com website, and you can sign up for our newsletter right there.
Yeah. So, we're going to launch that, but that's just one idea that advisors really struggle. And I'll be honest, it's really difficult to do that yourself. For our own company, I either run stuff by people in the company, or I go to partners and friends who are really good at this stuff. And the guy I go to all the time is Doug Heiken at iris.xyz. And we run stuff by each other all the time for our businesses. It's a wonderful partnership. And I've done it with other people in the past. Doug's the best, though. Yeah. But those kinds of things. Doug used to run a big agency, and now he runs that incredible financial planning portal for financial companies, advisors, and B2E, he calls it, business to everyone, which people think is awkward, but it's actually working, and his site is proof that it does. Mostly B2B content providers, some B2C, and advisors are showing up like crazy, and consumers are finding it because they want to know what advisors are looking at.
Yes.
And it's a really interesting place. And there's lots of people who think the model, doesn't work, but sometimes where you're really passionate and you want to be different is where there's some really interesting opportunities. And he's a wonderful example to keep watching. So, and he's about to do some really cool stuff with his business. So anyway, a little plug for my friend there. Well,
and he's awesome. I mean, he is such a great sounding board for all of us here at Top Advisor Marketing. And we really owe him a big debt of gratitude, because he has that really interesting combination of being wildly detail oriented and still being really creative at the same time. All right, we're moving on to number 7. I don't have the team to have a niche market. Now, I'm going to take this just quickly, and then I'll turn it over to you. This is about the biggest load of crap I've ever heard, because it actually makes your team more effective. And you said it really well, Kirk, when you were talking about when you're a business, and if you try to do something that is individual and tailored for each and every single solitary client, it's almost impossible to replicate, and you can't build the systems in your company in order to run it profitably and successfully, and you drive your team crazy. I can't tell you how many times when I was a coach that I'd be meeting with the number 2, like the operations person, and he or she would come to me and say, Matt, my advisor's driving me crazy because, every time she gets done with a meeting, I have something new that I have to learn. right? This makes it so that like your C-level comp program office that you're branding right now, right? The executive comp programs. An executive comp program is an executive comp program. And if you have the systems in place, your team's going to like it even more because they know what to expect. People like that. I don't know if you guys realize that as listeners, but people really like consistency and people really like knowing what's expected of them.
I met a company recently. Yeah, I'm off on a tangent, but that's what we decided we were going to do today is we're going to make this like a coffee session with you and I talking about, because sometimes we forget that a lot of the stuff that we know and the people that we know that our listeners haven't experienced them. And this is all new learning. I've been doing a lot of research recently on, because I'm working on a couple papers. And one of the things I find most fascinating is when you find somebody who really knows their stuff, they're providing you with insights and tools to go look at something more differently. So we're going to do that here today. Now that I've gone on that long escapade, I can't even remember what my point is.
And that's truly like sitting down and having coffee with you, my friend.
Yeah.
It's
so
about
I just turned 50 last week.
You're on the other side of the mountain there, brother. No, when it comes to setting expectations and having the team niche, does that help ring a bell?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, good.
Anyway, I met this guy who runs virtual assistants. But the thing that they do and that he helps set up before he makes the handoff to the virtual assistant is they help you figure out processes and systems in your business. And it's their strength. Like this guy just lives and breathes processes and systems. So he helps you in your business figure that out. And then he has a team of virtual assistants who will help you implement those processes and systems into your business and hold you accountable and actually work with it. So I think that's a really fascinating. We got to make sure we have him on our podcast so that we can go through that. But how I met him was through a person who has a financial planning niche, like a really interesting niche. And I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but he had helped him go after that niche with his product and system skill. And then he used his virtual assistant company to help this guy grow this really cool financial niche. So in a way, we should have both of them on together to talk about they've had successes together, and then they can talk about each of what they're doing. I think that'd be really neat.
That'd be fun.
So I've got both of those people's names, and we can explore that.
Okay.
So that's number 6.
That was 7. Right.
7.
So number 8 is I don't have time to create the content to prove my niche experience.
So we were talking earlier about how what your service is. Like you don't want to do too many things, right? You want to be focused, and you can't be writing proposals for everything under the sun every time somebody comes to you, because it gets really complicated. You can't duplicate, replicate all those things. So what we do here, as an example, is we do branding, podcasting, and then social media. And there's a couple different things that we do with social media. And one of them is to communicate, and the other one is to build connections. Mm-hmm. That's our strategy. In branding, we do 5 things. We discover what your message is and articulate that. We help you document and diagram what your financial planning process or approach is, which adds credence to who you are and what you do, that you actually have a process. And it suits your brand, fits your brand, or aligns with your brand, I guess a better way to say that. We help you uncover and draft your own white paper. And once you get your outline done, if you don't want to write it, we hook you up with a writer to write it. The 4th thing is that we consult on what your website is going to be, and then we hand it off to a website company. We have partners. The 5th thing we do is we come up with a launch campaign to tell everybody about your new brand, put out there. That's our branding. We don't really change that up for anybody. We do the same thing. If you don't believe what we do, or if you've already got a couple things already done, we can work with you. But for the most part, that's what we do for everybody. Mm-hmm. When I write a proposal, it doesn't vary much, if at all, based on that. And that makes us be way more efficient in what we do. It also says, we've been through and done a lot of other things to get to the place where, this is the stuff that we think over the long term is going to have the biggest impact on your business. And we're not trying to grow businesses who want to, go after a quick fix. That's not what we do. You could do that in your business, but it's not how we want to do it. And most advisors we know they want long-term success, not to be pursuing short-term things because they're difficult, unless they're trying to sell it quickly when it makes perfect sense. Anyhow, so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. And so number 8 is one of the things that we're doing is creating content. It's always been, I've talked about this a lot. We've talked about this lots, is podcasting is such an incredibly versatile medium to create and share content because it's so easy. It's a lot more difficult to write an article. Our marketing team's been asking me to write more recently. So we got a paper. It's a much deeper commitment, bigger commitment to writing. It's harder to show your personality. You can go on tangents and nobody seems to get upset with us. If you did that in writing, I think it'd be more difficult. Anyway, there's all kinds of wonderful things about podcasting. And so don't tell me you don't have time to do it, because we have a lot of advisors, over 40 right now, who do podcasting with us twice a month. And they're all finding time to do it. Well, and it's not always easy, but it doesn't kill their schedules, and it's a wonderful way to share it.
Well, but it is really easy. So I'm gonna disagree with you there, because that's what our voice talents are for, right? That's what our team is for, is to make it so that they don't really have to think much about it. Most of our advisors show up for the show, right? They maybe have 3 or 4 talking points, but we make it so that it's a conversation, and the voice talents pull that information out of them. Kirk, we do the same thing with the podcasting and social media division part of the company as you do when it comes to branding, and we just do it in real time and record it. Right? Because we're asking the same questions. That's why I think this is such a seamless transition between, and why we work so well together, is because we really listen. We want to know because we actually care. And that comes across in all of what we do.
And there's other ways to prove your niche content. And I don't advocate for it a lot, but you can also curate, information that's out there. If you're doing your job, you're running across interesting content from other sources all the time. And that stuff is stuff you can share. Yep. And we have a partner for that, right? We use Advisor Stream, and Advisor Stream shares content. And it may not always be related to your business, but it certainly can be related to your people's lives.
Totally.
And what's important to them. And as a financial advisor, you're always touching on other parts of people's lives, right? Because wealth and purpose are what most of you are helping your clients pursue. Mm-hmm. So, it's not, when I was talking about it's not always easy, I didn't actually mean the creating content part. I meant the finding time to get there. But I'll let you go.
I appreciate that. Thanks for that, man.
Rant, wherever you want.
All right, number 9 and number 10, I think go together, because this is ROI, return on investment, whether it's time, whether it's work, or whether it's money. So break those down for me. Let's overcome this, the last of the top 10 irrational niche rationalizations.
Yeah, I was reading an article today about niche marketing. A number of them, just in preparation, just getting a feel for, what people are talking about and saying. And one of the things I found was really interesting was, I think it was an info marketer guy talking about niching. And he said, niche marketing, to be successful in niche marketing, requires one thing mostly, and that's hard work. And the truth is niche marketing is going to be hard work, or you have to put hard work in if you want to have success, but it's definitely not any more hard. I think it's less hard than trying to be everything to everybody, because you don't know what you're doing every day. You're recreating everything all the time. Mm-hmm. You ever been there where it's like, oh, we need a brochure for this. Oh, we need a thing for that. It's crazy if you're going to your team all the time, or I wish I had that, or I wish I had this, I wish I had that. That's because you're not focused. Your audience is all over the place. And you're constantly trying to create new stuff to meet a whole bunch of different people. And that's a problem for most businesses, because that'll slow you down in a big way. Mm-hmm. So is niche marketing hard work to be successful? Yes. But I think it's less work than it would be if you're trying to be everything to everybody.
Well, let's talk about the cost of it, though. How expensive is this on the grand scheme of things, especially when you're talking about marketing it?
I don't know. How expensive is it to go day to day and try to be, increasing the amount of prospects that you see, or to go upscale with your clients and have more profitable, more fulfilling clients if you don't really have a focus. Mm-hmm. Like if if you haven't built something that you can build on, create momentum with, go back to all the time, right? What's your story? What's your brand? If you haven't figured all this stuff out, then the marketing you're doing right now or have been doing, or anything that's not niche, is going to be incredibly costly because you're not building any momentum. You're not memorable. But when you do all the right things, you create the niche, you got your brand, you got all these things in place, and they're all aligned, your marketing is a heck of a lot less expensive. And the biggest expense for bad marketing is the amount of time you spend doing it, chasing all these different opportunities. And that it's very costly not to niche. Very costly. People think it's costly to go figure the stuff all out. It's not. It's the status quo that costs you money. And the opportunity cost may be the biggest cost of all. So avoid the top 10 irrational niche rationalizations. Come on. Actually, it was 12. What were the other two? Can you remember?
You know what? I don't, but they're on tape, so we don't have to worry about that. I want to say one thing on that, and then we'll wrap it up. You know, when I got out of graduate school, I started a life coaching company, and our marketing plan was we can coach anybody on anything at any time. And I remember trying to work up a marketing plan and a budget for how we were going to market to absolutely everybody who does anything. And it failed miserably, and we fell down. And ever since then, understanding how important it is to have a very narrow focus has made it so that, we at Top Advisor Marketing have been, wildly successful. Being able to run a successful independent coaching company to great success and a great lifestyle business was super fun, but it was all about focus. And you help me focus, and I hope I do the same thing for you, because we both get shiny object syndrome like advisors do on a regular basis. And because we do have that focus, we're able to deliver a product and a service that nobody else can really touch. So closing thoughts, Kirk Lowe, the founder and partner and the chief brand officer for Top Advisor Marketing. What do you got for us closing here, man?
I totally forgot that was my title.
Yeah. Well, that's what you do. I didn't give you that title, by the way. That
I know I did. I did. I told you I just turned 50.
We're going to start having...
And lots of people thinking, come on.
It's 50, downhill from here, dude. So, all right, closing thoughts, man. What do you got?
Downhill or uphill?
I personally think you're still going uphill, but that's okay. I want you around for a while.
Uphill is more difficult.
Well, that's true.
Downhill is the easy part.
Yeah, but then you get to the bottom.
I don't know. I like valleys.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't know. I guess valleys they're a beautiful place, but I guess figuratively speaking, they're supposed to be dark and gloomy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, niche marketing, just don't be scared of it. Like, find a way, an actionable way. Think of something you can do to start working towards that end. Don't think about trying to bite it all off at the same time, but start moving in the right direction. Change your thinking. Go do some research. Go find some people that are, get different viewpoints than ours. Think about it and just start, getting a checklist and start checking some things off that you're going to move you in the right direction. How would you go about, segmenting? When you bring in a junior? Do you already have a junior? Are you working on building an ensemble? What that going to look like? Another thing that we didn't talk about here is how important it is for your team to all be cohesive.
Yeah.
Right? When everybody knows exactly who you work with and what you do for them, your team gets way stronger.
Yeah.
Way stronger. Anyway, those are my final thoughts.
All right. Well, everybody, as Kirk had said earlier, we really do like to have feedback. If there's a topic that you want Kirk and I to cover, or if there's somebody that who would be a great guest and provide great thought leadership for our listening audience, please just make sure that you email me at matt@topadvisorm, or connect with me on LinkedIn, or connect with Kirk on LinkedIn, because we're very, very active on LinkedIn specifically. If for some reason you haven't subscribed to the podcast, make sure you subscribe. We'd also really, really love it if you take a second to give us a quick iTunes rating. That will help us continue to show up higher and higher. Even though we're already at the top, it's still nice to get those ratings, because it kind of makes us feel good that we're doing a good job. And with that, I want to take a quick thank you to iris.xyz. If you have not checked out that website yet, make sure you do take a moment to check out Iris. It's got great information, timely information, and it's very easy to consume, which is one of the big things that I think makes Iris different. And if you're an advisor who really wants... What's that?
You got to read the URL. Sorry to interrupt you. But I know you end quickly, so.
What is it? Iris.xyz? What?
IRIS.xyz.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. All right. Yeah, I was rolling there, wasn't I?
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. But anyway, see, now I have to start that whole thing over now.
They know where to reach us. You already
All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap, everybody.
See you, everybody.
We'll see you on the
Thanks
other
for
side of the
listening.
mic very soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Adios.
Are you ready to change the way you communicate with your clients? Are you tired of being the best kept secret in your area? Learn how to become a prolific online influencer, attract more ideal clients, and grow your business. Contact us today and see what the power of podcasting can do for your business. Click on the Contact Us link on our website at topadvisormarketing.com and set up a call to learn more. Follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook for more updates and information.
This was brought to you by Iris.xyz, a platform helping financial professionals become better in business and life through new media and new voices. Visit them and learn more at iris.xyz.